Just making sure the passport's in date. Swedish whiskey.
Hey, Donald.
Hello.
How's things?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I do have a special Svensk Ek Swedish whiskey to celebrate. Probably not going to Sweden whenever we get into Europe, but back into Europe we go.
Happy days. Well, welcome everybody to episode 40 of the Town End podcast. What an introduction. It doesn't get any better than that after the last few weeks and tonight's match. Dundalk ran out 2-1 winners against Bohemians. And thankfully, Sligo Rovers bet St. Pat's 1-0 as well, which guarantees Dundalk European football and guarantees us third place for next year. Donald, how are you after that first taste? How's the whiskey?
Well, that is the first time I've had that. So I was thinking this is the first time. I don't even remember being on the podcast the last few times because I've been in the pub before I came on. So I thought, I'll be much more sober this time. But the old first sip of that one, the old Spence-esque might have different plans for me tonight. But yeah, no. Look, it's a night of celebration. We've achieved I guess, what we set out to achieve at the start of the season. Did it by winning at home on the last day, which is a great way, or the last home game of the season, which is a great way to do it. All very, very, almost very close to doing it without any heart attacks or having to check blood pressure or any of that stuff. Couldn't quite manage that part, but not you got to feel happy with the outcome tonight and the outcome over the whole season there.
Yeah, well, thankfully it was only 4 minutes of almost panic stations and nearly heart attacks. But yeah, no, I think, look, at the end of the day, and we have to highlight it before he comes on because he's going to mention it when he gets on, if he gets on for his first appearance of the season. Stephen McKevitt did call it earlier this year that we would finish in, I think he said second, actually. I don't think he said third, but he said we get Europe. So hopefully he said second. We'll have to get Chris to check the archives on that one, but we've guaranteed European football, which is great. 2 good goals tonight as well, which we'll talk about. And I suppose before we do get started, because I think the last few weeks we've just handed out free pizzas for the crack. But if you want to put in your man of the match nominations, you can win a 15-inch pizza from Tony's Pizzeria. Just comment in and let us know, or else if Frank Carlin just sends in the most comments, Frank, you're going to win it. So we might do it like that either, because you're always watching. And look, we're celebrating tonight. Everyone gets a free pizza. Everyone doesn't get a free pizza. Let me just be clear with that.
If anyone sends in more comments,
but yeah, no, look, it was. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think Steph should be joining us a little bit later, and I know Chris is rushing home, so he should be in after letting us down at the last minute last week. Well, not here. I'm just going to slaughter as many of them as I can, and then Gally is on a high ever since the good news that we'll also probably talk about in a little bit about Ryan O'Kane signing a new contract at the club. He was so excited he jumped on a plane to celebrate in Thailand for a few days. So we send our best wishes to Gally and hope he's eating raw squid or something nasty over there. But anyway, let's get back to tonight's game. You think he would have stayed in Europe like Dundalk, who's going to be playing in Europe next year? But look, what Gally does what Gally wants. So he's not coming on tonight, so we can just roast him as much as we want. But anyway, don't want to look at going to the game. Obviously, again, it seems like the story of Dundalk's probably last 6-7 weeks. It was a game of 2 halves. Let's get straight into the first half. Like, what's your thoughts on it? How you felt it went?
I thought the first half was pretty decent. I mean, I thought they seemed a bit flat, performance wise. The two teams for like the first 15-20 minutes, but I think Bowes had a couple of, maybe one shot that Shepherd saved, and then the corner started. The night of 1,000 corners. They had a corner every 10 minutes, and every single one of them seemed to go to the back post, and every single one of those corners that went to the back post seemed to be met by a Bohemians player. So that was the only real cause of worry, I think, the whole night. When you look back on it, that Bowes might have got a goal from a set piece, which it did. But I thought we started all right, and we got, like, it's always important to get the first goal and obviously we did that with an incredible free kick. I don't know what, like, I think you had the boys on the commentary on as well, and I know going through some of the stuff on Twitter that I think Dan McDonald was talking about how it might not have been a free kick. Someone shot that kid from the stand. Like, no, that
Someone
was
from Bowes.
like,
Someone from
yeah,
Bowes.
someone shot him.
Yeah.
Like, he just, why else would he have just like plummeted to the ground like that? Lucky he survived. But yeah, so we got the goal, and then it was relatively easy until, say, midway through the second half, we started to kind of lose our way a little bit. But the first half was decent, I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought it was very good too. I thought we kept the ball well. Going forward, we looked dangerous every time, and as you say, you know, I think in all seriousness, looking at Twitter and seeing the video from O'Kane, I actually think he tripped on the pitch. I don't think it was a dive or anything. I know some of our Bowes friends that listen into the podcast might think differently, and I've seen a few tweets from people who do listen in that suggested that there was a bit of cheating going on, but I don't think it was the case with Ryan. I don't think he's that type of player, but we got a free kick and we scored from it, so and we're in Europe, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. And what a free kick it was from Davy Mack. You know, again, he's come in, he's not Pat Hoban, he's not the Davy Mack that he was a couple of years ago, so it's very, you know, it's great for him, isn't it, to kind of roll back the years and put in another important goal. He's one of them players, isn't he, that when it matters, he seems to score those important goals for the club.
Yeah, that's what he's all about. We talked about him. We talked about him last week, and about his contributions to the game, and like how important it is, like, that he gets chances, and you know, he's more than likely going to take one of the chances that he gets, you know. But I don't think anybody was expecting to take the free kick, and then for it to be as good a free kick as it was a double surprise. But even just to highlight just how they got the free kick, I know there's, you know, questions over whether he was fouled or not, and whether he was or he wasn't. It was the build up to getting the free kick, I thought, was really, really good. That they won the ball in midfield. I think Alfie Lewis won it in midfield and got the ball forward to O'Kane as quick as possible, and got him into space and got him running at the back four, which then created the assassination attempt from somebody in the stand. But anyway, I like, people have heard me waffling on there for a while. I don't think we've heard from Steph in, I don't know how long.
We have in the group chat, but we haven't heard from about the game. But Steph, former Dundalk FC right back, is on joining us tonight for his first appearance of the season. Steph, how are you, Pat?
I just took a mid-season break and then just didn't come back till the second last game. So the fans wanted me out, so I done the right thing and just stepped away for a while.
In honor of you, pal, I'm drinking one of Steve Austin's beers as well.
I love it. Broken Skull. Yeah. All good after that result. There was some buzz. Oh, there he is.
Evening, gentlemen.
Hold on, Chris, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
They're grilling me over my non-appearances, so
probably fair cop there.
More, it's more than fair, yeah. To be fair, good buzz in Oriel tonight though, and it was a bit hairy at the end, but there was balls going across the box, and then Shepherd went for a walk up near the halfway line up one stage. But look, we got there in the end, and then Sligo done us a favour. I knew Pat would step up there. Very soft, them boys.
You've been saying it for weeks in the group chat, not on the pod, but in the group chat. You've been saying it for weeks.
Look, the proof's in the text, and then you can go back to episode 1 where I said we were going to finish top 3. So look,
I think you said second though, but look, we'll not get into the semantics of it.
No, I didn't. Look, Chris has the video.
I'm going to go back through all this now, lads, and find out what our predictions were at the first episode of the season.
I said, look, not to blow me on trumpet, but I said Rovers would be too strong for everyone. Derry would be a bit experienced. They'd give them a good challenge and push them a long way, but come up second, and I thought we were the third best squad in the league. So there you go. Good night. Good night and God bless, and I'm away. See you.
Thanks for coming back on, Steph.
Seeing as he's not here, what did Gally say? We'd be lucky to get Europe, was it? So Gally,
he said he'd be over the moon if we got top 5, and that Derry had won the league after 3 games or something like that. So
he had a Johnny Ward start to the season, didn't he?
there's going to be TikTok videos made of his predictions.
But anyway, look, going off, like we're talking obviously about Davy Mack's free kick. Steph, what was the reaction? The reaction, like looking at it on telly, like it was a great free kick. What was the reaction in the in the crowd?
Yeah, in the crowd, I just turned around to one of the lads and just said, "Bend it like Macmillan." It was just.
That was after I texted in, and then Chris saw it, and Chris texted his boss at LOI TV and said, "Put that tweet up quick."
Have I got the tweet for you?
Yeah. Don't credit Dean with it, but look, it's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm just a bit heated tonight. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. Like one of the lads turned around to me, Darren Meehan, and said, "What's he? What a goal, screamer!" So yeah, look, I think everyone was a bit surprised, but then when you look at it, like from that side, who's really been taking them, and like Macmillan steps up, and maybe he should have been taking them the last couple of seasons. We might have got a few more goals.
To be fair, Steph, when the free kick was, when it was awarded, whether it was a free kick or not, when it was awarded, he picked up the ball straight away, put it down, and was like nearly shooing everyone else away. Like he had made the decision that he was hitting it and he was going to have a go at this fairly early, like, and no one else was having a crack at it. So, at least it wasn't one of them where you're kind of wondering, oh, will I hit it? Will you hit it? What's going on here? Like, it was very definite. I'm having a crack at this. Like, so whether it's something that he works hard on in training or something, like, but it was, the perfect opportunity in the match. And it was just, it was great to see it executed so well, but I kind of like the defiance of everybody out of the way. This is mine, this is my moment. Love it.
Yeah, he pulled a bit of rank there and confident smashed it in the top corner. Happy days.
It was great. And Chris, good camera work on it too, don't want you blowing your own trumpet, so I'll do it for you, but that was
okay. Your bending like Macmillan was good. Are you happy now?
Cheers, Chris. Thanks, pal. We can move on with the show now. We just wait like get on to runner's first touch.
just revelate him over that 20.
But Chris, look, a good night. You do the camera up in the gantry, isn't it? You're up with the lads. So obviously there's good atmosphere up there for what you could see of the game.
I couldn't see much at the very start. My poor director back in Birmingham was having absolute panic attacks because he couldn't see anything on either camera, bar a plume of smoke. Not the greatest way to start a match, but eventually I seen this little white dot moving around. I figured that could have been the ball, or I was following somebody else in the stand. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say he was nearly having a heart attack in after Macmillan's goal because they let off another one. Then they almost got in and scored straight after that, and you couldn't see a thing. Yeah,
I think what must have been just a lot of them at the very, very start because it took ages to clear. But it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad after that. But when even at the very start, lads, when I seen the team sheet come out with Bradley back in, but Hugo was still playing as well, I was like, well, where's everyone going to fit here? But I actually thought Bradley had a cracking game. He was obviously more central, a lot more creative than we've seen over the past few weeks as well from him. He seemed to be in the midst of everything. So it ended up being a Stevie masterclass in dropping him in, because to be fair to Joe Adams, he hasn't put a foot wrong in his past few games that he has played. He's done really, really well, and it was probably harsh that he got dropped. I seen Hubin doing his pre-match workout, and I heard there was a bit of an infection or something as well for him, or some sort of illness. So whether he was fit enough to play, but obviously the sickness had taken over, and there wasn't a chance he was even going to get on the bench there. He did look a little kind of out of breath very quickly on that. So I'd say there's probably an element of that, but you would say he'd probably be back for the Derry match there. There's a very good chance he'll play in that one. But yeah, I was a bit surprised. I thought it's either Bradley or Hugo plays on that right-hand side, but turns out you can get away with both of them in the team, and it worked out.
Yeah, and speaking of Runer, let's move on to that second goal, because that's probably the other big talking point of the first half. And what a first touch. You know, they were saying that was it McMillan that played it. It was a little bit under, hit the pass in, and he took his touch. And Steph, I'm sure, you know, from your time playing, a player taking a touch like that, it was almost a perfect touch just to get it away from the defenders, give himself that extra yard to run onto it. And I mean, he got a bit fortunate that it kind of bounced underneath the goalkeeper to finish, but all round, like, it was just, for me, in the middle of a coaching license, seeing a touch like that, I was like, why can't I work with players like that every time I'm doing a session? But it was class, wasn't it?
Yeah, his first touch just took him away from the defender, and then he's 1-on-1 with the keeper. Like, I don't know whether the defender wasn't expecting it, but he just got the first run on him, and then he left him for dust, and he was just steadying himself. I thought he was going to take too many touches and run it into the keeper, but he just set himself up nicely just to slide it past. Obviously, he didn't see the replay back where he said it slid under the keeper or whatever, but yeah, he was gone. There was no catching him. Once he took that first touch, he was
away, yeah.
Get out.
that was exactly what his touch looked like.
Should have done. Just picked him up and threw him away.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, he's done well, and even you could see those balls going over the end line. He's like in the fullback's ear and all, like screaming at him, and he was well up for that game. And look, he sort of, at the start, I was sort of thinking, you know, is he going to fit in here? And I don't know, he sort of embraced it at the last couple of weeks, stepping up for the penalty against Strode, and then it was like a man who scored about 20 goals this season, the way he took that goal tonight. So, do you know what I mean? I don't know, he's probably gone back after the Derry game, but do you know, another 6-month loan, you probably wouldn't rule it out either. Like.
Yeah, we'll probably talk a little bit more about like the lone players later in the programme, but like with Europe on the horizon next year, surely they'd want a bit of a crack at that if they're not going to play in the first teams. But yeah, no, it was great, wasn't it, Chris? It was a good. I say that touch just for me is that every time I watch it back, it's top class, isn't it?
Yeah, look, and you know, for me, it's Alfie Lewis's little poke to McMillan. Like, he's nearly on the ground, but he just didn't give up. And he just pokes it out to McMillan, who's able, you know, in a bit of space to get his head up. And Runer just makes a lovely run across the defender. So he's receiving the ball, you know, on his left-hand side between him and the defender. And, you know, a good touch brings him into space then, and that's it. It opens up. Do you know, I was saying to Adrian Taft that I think the thing about Runer is, when he arrived in the squad, you could probably see he was missing some match practice. He was, especially at senior football opportunities. And I think the more opportunities you have so far, Steph, like you just said, from probably the draw of the match on, he's probably looked better and better. He's got a bit of confidence. I think when he first came in, I can't remember what the game was, but I remember thinking he's a bit... not lightweight for the league, but you know, like a couple of lads were going in heavy on tackles, and you could see he kind of backed off a little, probably going, "Gee, what am I in here?" You know, not ready
for cup match, was it?
It could have been. But then you look at him there tonight, Steph. Like I say, and the lads were given, you know, he was running down the wing, and the opposition players were having a go with him for leaving a foot in here, or he wouldn't give the ball back there. You know, it's a little gamesmanship that he was playing, but you know, he was well up for playing that. And I think that's the difference when he settled in to the squad and he got himself up to speed fitness wise. I think we probably see a better player come out of him, in particularly now in these last few games when he's been in the team. Yeah,
absolutely. And look, to kind of move on from that first touch, because I just need to get away from, because I just thought it was that good. But Donald, the likes of Runer and Alfie Lewis, like, you know, when I was on with Cali before I abruptly left last week, left him in the lurch last week. Just to see how he dealt with it. There was more than that. I didn't even have to go at that stage. I just wanted to let Gally sweat for a few minutes. But like we were talking before you got on the other night about how the likes of Alfie Lewis was kind of coming into his own at this stage of the season. And we've seen it in the past where players come over from England in the summertime. You know, you don't see the best of them. And we'll probably see the best of Alfie next season. And, you know, Runer is one of those players that was in pre-season mode when he did come over here. So it's great to see him and Alfie in particular at a time when we are short players that are kind of hitting form at the right time when we need that from players, you know.
Yeah, and the guys were talking on the commentary about how little football Alfie had played before coming into the team. And I mean, I was talking about him quite a bit the first few games about how good he was. And then like some of the performances haven't been, I'd say, at the level that he wants to be at. He does seem to get caught a couple of times in midfield. Like, I don't know if it's getting turned and if he gets pressured. I don't know if he's put in like a complete performance yet, but we're getting lots of really, really good stuff from him. He's always really, really good on the ball. And that thing that Chris was saying for the second goal, I thought that's the same thing from the first one, that just having the ball at his feet and getting the ball out as quick as possible into, the attacking players when there's space available for them, especially on a night when a team are sitting back and that's gone.
Just when a comment came in for him, he's out.
Yeah, and I was like, I think Pingu might be almost gone as well, but he's just clinging on in there.
He's hanging in.
Yeah,
Broadband's just hanging.
The thing of like it might have taken Runa a couple of weeks, maybe even to figure out what the football club was about or what was expected of him. Like he might not have been a proper like R when he got here, but he's an honorary R now. Like he's one of us on the pitch. He's one of ones. But he's like, it looks like the last couple of weeks he's properly understood it. What it takes, and like there's a little bit of the unknown. Like when someone comes in halfway through the season and they're sent out on loan, especially from the same club Stephen Bradley came from, I don't think anybody knew what to expect from him.
No,
because if you try and like logic out how somebody's starting the season and immediately turfed out, you're like, I don't know if there's question marks, whatever. But he's definitely he's changed a lot of opinions, I think. About what he was going to do and how he was going to perform. So, like, you're delighted for him, and because he is like he's a town ender, right? He's our boy.
He is.
Welcome back, lads.
Sorry, I got shut out for a few minutes there.
Steph, you got a comment in praising you, and then you dropped off. Fair play.
Jamesy Hand with the wonderful left foot. What a man. His young lad, I think his name's Josh, is it, Dean?
I think so, yeah.
Doing good things with the youth, so we're keeping an eye on him. He's going to progress to the first team soon.
Yeah,
no pressure, kid.
Sinead Toll says we're missing out on some crack in the Lily White Lounge. Little does she know we're having great crack on the town, and even though we probably don't look at it at the minute, but we're all loving life here. But
Sinead needs to get on to them, and whoever's behind the bar, get us up on the big screen and should us in a few. We'll do a few questions for near the end of the season. Thanks.
If we can get a video or a photograph of the turn end on in the Lily White Lounge, we'll send a pizza from Tony's there, a 15-inch pizza for everybody. Well, just one pizza between everybody. Sorry, we'll get them to cut it in tiny little bits. Whatever, we can have a small.
Chris Vinny was having palpitations there for a second.
So we thought we'd have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But look, I suppose we have to talk. Unfortunately, we've talked about all that went well in the first half of the game. We better go into the second half of it. Where things went very Dundalk over the last few weeks, didn't it? And Chris, it was definitely a game of two halves, and it was one of them where you were kind of you could see it coming. As the second half progressed, the Bulls were getting more and more into it, or we were dropping more and more out of the match, weren't we? And unfortunately they got the reward, but thankfully it was near the end of the game. We didn't have to hold out too long.
I think it was one of those things again, and we've seen it sometimes, in particular when we make a lot of substitutes, we kind of lose the momentum in the game, and I think that's probably what happened. Wardy was doing the Wardy thing there. He was dancing around maybe 4 or 5 players, not letting them touch the ball for a while, and he was enjoying it. But you could see every time they got on the ball, it was with a lot more purpose. They were very direct. They were getting down the wings, getting crosses in. Let's be fair, lads. Just before their goal, Nathan Shepherd pulls off another worldy of a save on the line, like absolute worldy again from him. There's a hell of a highlight reel for that chap this season, and that was just another one to add to it. Because if they had scored earlier, that's there's a lot more time on the clock, and that would have changed everything. The momentum probably swings their way slightly, but it's also nice that we didn't cave, because I'm sure in some of those players' minds was the Pats result when they did throw it away, and Sligo, yeah, there's
Call it.
too many of these. Waterford, UCD,
yeah.
There's been a few of these, so it's just nice to again just to see it out and to get that win. A couple of big, like I said, that big save from Nathan Shepherd tonight. I'm sure. I think Donald, I heard you talk about it before. I think everybody knew what was happening with their corners, and for the love of God, why did we have Dara Leahy on him every time? I was like, got to swap that up and put somebody else in there. Mind you, there wasn't a whole lot of height in our team at the moment as well. So that might have been something to do with it.
No, because I was wondering too whether it was a height issue or if it was an organization issue. But I think it's probably both, because we don't have that many that we can spare to like throw out to the back post, because like say you put Andy Boyle out there or you put Sam Bone out there, you're taking one of the commanding headers of the ball from the middle of the penalty area. So you don't necessarily want to do that. But when they were doing it every single time and it was working every single time, they have to figure something out. And in fairness to them, there was a couple of corners where it didn't work, where we did get somebody in the way. Now they did end up scoring from one of them, and also like the worldly of a save from the goalkeeper came from that exact setup. So
exact move again, yeah. I think the thing was they would pull round to the back straight, on the back post each time, and it's either a recycled ball or it was a header on target, each time. So at times I think we tried to push that player at the back post as far out as we could, so it either, the ball would just trickle back to the keeper and that would be it. But I also think that you could see Andy Boyle in that moving closer to the back post, but it was more to attack the second ball in those moments. But it was more often they were getting it on target nearly from that first. So definitely something to work on.
They've obviously spotted that the last couple of weeks or whatever and thought they'd exploit it, and they've probably worked on it like different set pieces, and some of them we just couldn't cope with. So they have a couple of Herman monsters at the back. Like the boys are big lads, and we've probably lost the best header we had in the break. And when you have someone there commanding who could just goes and attacks a ball and wins it most of the time, when you lose that, even a lot of you're sort of looking for somebody else to do it then, and when you don't have that in the team, then it's in the back of your head the whole time. You're thinking about it, So
yeah, I think that has been something that's kind of been it's been an annoyance for me the last few weeks, and I'm sure for everybody else is. I'm sure for Stevie it is. But the last 3 or 4 weeks we've conceded from corners. It feels like in every match, and then again tonight, it felt like, and Donald mentioned it earlier, it's like every time they got a corner, they looked like they could score from it. If they play properly, and eventually we did come undone. We got lucky a couple of times, but defended well a couple of times, and then got done with it. But Steph, you would know, from your experience playing, is if you have players that, if you have a little bit of an injury crisis in the club, the first thing that happens is, or the first thing you're told is, just make sure we're set up properly. And for that to happen, 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago we played Finn Harps? I think it was, wasn't it? It was 2 weeks ago we played Finn Harps, and their goal came, it was like a carbon copy, where all our players were in the middle of the box and your man scored at the back post. And would that be something like that? That's a little bit kind of just irking me tonight, because it's happened the last few weeks and it hasn't been fixed, that kind of way. And that would be something I'm sure that you would say in your experience, if it happens once a week, try fix it, but if it happens twice, it doesn't happen again, right?
Yeah, but it's one of them things where it happens once and it happens twice, and as soon as you concede a corner, this negative thoughts go into your head, and you're thinking we're gonna concede here. But look, they've defended it up until the last one, but you know, we were sort of living on our nails a wee bit at the end. But you look, you'd like to think that when you get a window that Stevie is going to be supported in that, and yous are obviously sending private messages to each other because they're all laughing. So,
Chris is making fun of me, Steph. It's nothing to do with you, pal. That's why
He's
that's
getting
why
more and more Americanized each week as he goes here. So
that's why I was pissed off at me.
That's the license he's on, and the beer he's drinking there probably.
What?
But what? But yeah, it's just one of them things where, look, I think you just probably wait until the season ends, and it's going to be worked on in pre-season. Like every time we got a corner, you could feel it. Like you could nearly feel the tension of the players nearly when you're in the ground. That, you know, this is trouble. Every time we concede a corner here, it's going to be a big chance for them. Whereas if you're someone dominant who's going to win the ball in the air, you're nearly more confident. Then you don't even mind conceding a corner because you're confident in your defenders clearing it. But you get a run of you concede, and no matter how much you're walking it on the training ground, if a big lad comes in from centre half, is dominant in the air and wins the ball, and they're set up to do that and attack it, it's hard to defend it.
Yeah. It's just been, as I say, it's just been disappointing the last few weeks because it just seems to be the trend.
It
seems to be what's kind of been doing us in the last few weeks, and it's in theory it's an easy thing to fix, isn't it? You know what? I'm only saying that as a coach myself.
Easy for him to say as a coach.
Yeah,
himself. I think is how he's going to finish that sentence.
He had a Ted Lasso moment there, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if he's coming back. Do you know who did impress me tonight, lads? Was Sam Bone. I thought Sam Bone had a really, really good game tonight. He was very physical, in their face, and I think, you know, we were probably wondering where he fits in the team at times. Do we play him? You know, look, he's played centre back, he's played right back, he's played in that little holding role in front of the back four, which is probably his Sean Newbury already agreeing with me on that point. You know, I think because he had such a good game tonight, it probably helped Bradley further up because he knew there's a bit of a stopgap before you can get to our back floor, and I know probably the same then with Alfie Lewis as well. You know, he rather than Alfie thinking that he needs to do everything right in front of the back four, kind of a little bit of a buffer back there. Welcome back, team. For it, but I thought he really, really good game tonight. Really, really good.
I think that position suits him. Like, yeah, he played. He was good at right back and he was good at centre back. I don't know. Maybe a different centre back partnership might suit him better. I'm not sure, but the playing in that holding role just kind of frees him up a little bit. He can still do the defensive work that he's good at, but he can also just, it's like filling in gaps where gaps are opening up in midfield, which is obviously what that role requires. But he's pretty decent on the ball as well. Like we've seen him score, and he was he on a hot streak of scoring? That wasn't scoring goals, but having like one.
He was having these long range shots over and over, wasn't he?
Every game. Yeah. So like he has got the talent to take the ball and move it forward. So it's. I think it's the spot that suits him. But then the problem, again, which we kind of ran into at the beginning of the season with him, is that if everybody's fit, I don't think he's playing in that spot. And then the way we were set up at the start of the season, he obviously wasn't going to be one of the two first choice centre backs or full backs. So he's kind of like, right, well, it's working out for him now, but I don't know if anybody thinks he's going to be there long term when everybody's back. So it's handy to have somebody like that. And in his, not in his defense, but that Chris Shields was like that for a good while as well, where you didn't think he was going to be in the team every week, and he'd fill in here and fill in there, and then just got on a roll and got comfortable and got confident in the position that he was in. So maybe he has that in his future. Maybe he is the one that's going to be playing the holding role next season. But he's definitely done a job like the last couple of weeks. when we really, really needed him because there was no one else left.
Yeah, I was saying to a couple of lads, he was like RoboCop, not how he was running around, just his build. Like his chest is massive. He's far bigger than anybody else on the pitch out there tonight. Like as in physique wise, and like boys are bouncing off him and that. And look, if he just does the simple thing, sometimes when he was playing centre half, he tried to play the clever ball and he got caught out a couple of times. So, like Donald said, the whole in midfield, even if he does give a loose one away, it doesn't directly lead to a goal. Like there's still another line of defence.
Yeah,
you have it. Like so, yeah. I thought like he's big and strong and he's dominant in there and he can play a ball. Like just like when he was in centre half, he got caught out a few times. So. I definitely have him more as a holding midfielder than a centre back.
Yeah,
he's really good at. Sorry, Chris. He says he's really good at getting to a player really, really quickly. Which when he's playing centre back, if he gets caught like that, which he did a couple of times, and even a fullback early in the season, if he does that and gets caught high up the pitch, there's a mountain of space behind him, and I think. This security thing of him just not being the last man, but having a little bit of license to go and actually challenge whoever like the number 10 is in the other team. I think that's a real plus for him being in there. But it just goes to that what Steph was saying. He does have a bit of a buffer and he's not the last line of defense when he's in there.
And as well as that, like Alfie Lewis is clever where he sort of pivots into that position, and you'll see if he goes to close someone knocks a past Bone. How many times have you seen Alfie Lewis just poke it away from somebody? Like it's happened a couple of times tonight, and you're just like it's sort of not a perfect matchup in there, but they seem to work well. Like they're not. Donald said you wouldn't just say Bone's number one standout choice like on the team sheet, but look, it's been working. It's been working in there. I wouldn't say they've been too weak in there. Considering the players like we've lost Doyle and Sloggett, Williams even at the start of the season played every game when he was available and with us. So like it's changed so much in there. It's Wardy was in for a while as well, so it's so much change in there. Like so.
Yeah, Pingo, like Steph just said it, at the start of the year, it was probably Dan Williams' place, and we were happy with him kind of playing there. The injury ruined that kind of opportunity for him. Then we had, Doyle in there. That was looking really, really good. Unfortunate injury again. Then we just seemed to be rotating around this holding midfielder role. But like Steph said, there was he was RoboCop tonight, dead or alive, he's coming with you. And that was just it, but that's, it's that sort of a performance that we needed from someone tonight. And, he really stepped up. There's a couple of mentions already for man of the match, for himself tonight.
Yeah, no, he done very well in there tonight. It's been difficult this season. Or for him, it's been good that he's played a couple of positions. He's been able to step in at right back, centre back, defensive mid. I was saying that Donald off air, probably the biggest thing for me just is when Steph was mentioned that he has that pace that he can go and go to the ball. We've probably lacked that Paul Doyle or Greg Sloggett in there, that can kind of just drift into that. But as Steph says, Alfie Lewis done an all right job of that tonight. But for me, I thought he done very well tonight, and we've probably criticised him a lot. So yeah, I'm happy enough with how he done.
Yeah, I think it's still all kicking off clearly in the Lily White tonight.
Yeah.
I think most of the second half, most of the songs coming from the shed were aimed at Lewis McCarry and trying to coax them to staying on. Donald, we've seen him also used as a multiple positions this season. Right wing, we thought he was kind of embedded in there, but for the past wee while, we've seen him play a centre back partnership with Doyle. Like, what's the chances? I suppose. Like, does the chant make it any easier?
I think we talked about this when the discussions about him staying for the second half of the season were coming around. That I was saying about how the summer season hurts us when it comes to getting players to stay.
Yeah,
well, I think it helps us at this stage of the season, because he's going to be going back to like the second half of a season that's already underway, you know. So
Yeah, exactly.
We can tell him like you'll be playing right back or you'll be playing centre back depending on who comes in, and then you'll be playing in Europe. So,
but he was originally his position was a centre back. Am I right?
Yeah. Like he came here as a centre back, I think, and then he like playing left back must have been like being on the moon in the beginning. But I'm getting F5 now because the chat's happening and I can't see what's happening. But no, he's like what you have to ask, like what his ambition is. Does he want to just go home and try and make it back at his club? Like, but I don't think anybody would. You wouldn't find it like there hasn't been a bad word about him all season. Like he's been so solid and has come up with like really, really important assists, and he's improved the defense since he's gone to centre back. So like we'd all have him back. So like we're all behind the Shed singing those songs. It's a strange one to go back to a club halfway through the season, the same way as it was strange to have to make a decision halfway through our season about whether he was going to stay or not. So
yeah,
but he's already said it's the last time, you know. Like I from what he said, I don't think there's any. Didn't seem like there was much doubt. Maybe he's just.
Maybe he's just
actually. It's the last game.
Yeah, maybe he's just setting it up to come out with the meme. I'm not fucking leaving. Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street. He needs to. So,
like Steph, but we've seen him. You know, he was dropped at one stage this year. Look, but we never heard anything bad from him. You know, he seemed to just kind of get on with that decision that, you know, Skip had made. Got the head down, and then an opportunity came in a centre back partnership with Boiler, and you know he seemed to jump at his opportunity to get in there, and he seemed pretty settled in the past few games.
Yeah, look, he looks like he's only a young kid, but obviously having the granddad there is being a professional footballer at the top level. He obviously has the professionalism himself. Like there was no toys thrown out of the pram or anything like that. And I think he got man of the match tonight. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I think that
Sam Bone's running away with it with us.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit of let's whip up the crowd a little bit more and get everybody singing the song even louder.
I think the Shed voted for that one, but he made a tackle in the second half. It was probably about 5 minutes before it was announced that he was man of the match, and it probably swung it in his favour. I actually thought, I don't want to give any spoilers away from my big man of the match prediction, but I thought Andy Boyle was brilliant. And look, I haven't been his, I wouldn't say his biggest fan, but I've been a bit critical of him in the past. But I thought he was brilliant. He blocked everything. Even a couple of times I thought Twardak was getting away from him, and he closed the space down instead of closing the man and the ball. And that's what he seemed to be doing the last few while and getting caught out for pace. But the amount of times he put in blocks or clearances, headed balls, just played the simple one. I thought Andy Boyle was brilliant. But going back to McCarry, yeah, look, he's another one who's been a bit versatile. He's played right full and he's brilliant. And the assist that sticks out in my head, I know he got a couple this season, and the assist for Joe Martin's goal against Shells near the end. Yeah. What we won 2-1 in the first home game against Shells, I thought was top class. Like, and you know, the different things like that, getting his first goal against Hobbs, I'd say he's probably thinking in the back of his head, you know what, I'd love another 6 months, even to experience what Europe's going to be like. Because look, he's going to go back to Stoke, and he's going to have to fight to try and get into a squad there. I know he has the senior experience now of playing in this league, but look, if anything can be done where he can just stay another season with us, and it might stand him in even better stead, another season behind him, European football, hopefully. Do you know what I mean? Make it happen. Just make it happen. And look, he's definitely one we want to keep hold of anyway.
Finger is a bit like, well, he's gone.
Didn't like where that question was going.
No, I didn't even get to ask. I said, finger gump.
Unless the Bean comes back instead of him, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, he's gone again. Donald, I'll go to you. I'll go to you with it. Like, unfortunately, a little like Sam Bone, does that utility player kind of, is it a crutch that probably that you can beat him with slightly, that he isn't? Oh, he's back. Hang on. You want this question now, or are you going to hang around?
It's up to you. You're dicing with that here. If you want to ask me this question, I can go off again.
Come on. Well, look, I started asking Donald, but I'll ask you now that you're back. Donald, relax.
I had nothing for it.
Good.
Acknowledge me.
We'll find it.
I'm back.
He's looking for his A license hat to answer this question. We didn't know you were doing it there after the 100th time you mentioned it.
The tribal chief is back. Come on, ask me the question.
We've seen a lot of players that Skip has brought in, kind of utility players, can play multiple positions. Is that come to the detriment of McCarry sometimes, that we brought him in as a centre back, he ended up playing right back and doing really well there, and then when we needed him, we moved him back in the centre half? So what's his best position? Where do Dundalk need him for?
No, I don't think it's been to the detriment.
What a question, lads. I'm done.
Yeah, that is a good question, Chris. In fairness, but don't get too carried away. There's still better questions out there, but no, I don't think it's been to the detriment of him. I think the detriment for him has been that John Mountney's got fit again. And John Mountney's obviously probably getting a decent wage. He's probably one of the higher earners in the squad, and Skip has to justify that by getting him on the pitch, because McCarry done absolutely nothing wrong to get dropped in the first place, and he's one of them players that probably, just because he's a young lad, nobody kind of batted an eyelid when Mountney went in. Everyone was just glad to see John go in there. But I don't think it's any coincidence that our form dipped in around that time that McCarry has been out. And I'm not just saying this because I said he should go back in there and I question it, but I am saying it because of that, just primarily for that reason. But he's come back in the last 3 games and we've got the results that we needed, and it's not all down to him, but he's been good the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? And Steph's saying here, and then 5 minutes ago Steph was saying he was calling for McCarry to be back in the team as well, so I don't know what he's at over there. But,
you were saying to me in the private chat that time that Mountney only got back in because he was Stevie's best mate, wasn't it?
No, that was you, mate. But no, I don't, Chris. To answer your question, I don't think it's because of his versatility and willingness to play anywhere. I think it is because John was finally fit enough, and it was at his and because he mates with Stevie. But no, I think it's if we just look at it, the last couple of weeks, it's great that he's been back in and he's been a big part. After that wonder goal against Finn Harps, it's great that he's been crucial in our closing out that third spot, isn't it? Steph, what's your thoughts on that, Stefan?
I agree with you. I think he's been a vital cog in the system to get us into third. Yeah. No, look, he's performed well all season. I think it's no coincidence that everyone wants him to stay, that he's done that well. He's fitted in well, and he's like a lad that grew up on Cabrassa Street. He's like one of our own there.
He's another honorary.
Speaking of one of our own, great news early this week, Donald, that Ryan O'Kane signed a 2-year extension on his contract. So I suppose that's him nailed down now. Should potential suitors be swimming around looking for him, that we will get some sort of a financial reward for it should he move on. Probably not his greatest night tonight, but we'll definitely forgive him that for his performances of late too. But just to have an opportunity to tie him down, for the club to be thinking that way, that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, look, that's the thing that we were crying out for the last few years up until, say, this season. This is the first opportunity we've had that we have an asset. Like, we have a player that we know is going to be worth whatever to a certain club, and we're putting ourselves in the best position to make money off him. Sounds horrible, but to make sure that he doesn't just walk out the door for free. But I think one of the things I kind of half remember talking about last week was about how important he was, but that even tonight, when he didn't have his best game, he still put in a couple of brilliant crosses in the first half.
Yeah.
and still almost created goals, even on a night when he's not really in the game very much, which is going to be something that he'll have to work on next season, because everyone's going to know him next season, and everyone's going to know, fullback is going to know this is what he does, and there'll be a midfielder getting over there to cover and stuff like that. So that's going to be what he's going to have to learn how to do, is to do a lot with a little, like he won't have the ball or won't have the space, you'd imagine, that he enjoyed for a good few games this season. But he's improving every game, like even just like putting in left foot crosses when he wasn't able to. It didn't seem like he was able to do it before. So it's a great thing to have him tied down. You obviously want him to stay for forever, but the reality of the situation is at least we have something in place now that if he does go, we're in a decent position, hopefully, to be able to command it, the feed it, makes sense for everybody. Instead, and like we don't know if like there's release clauses or any of that kind of crap, but at least something will be coming our way regardless. And he hates saying it's when he goes in the summer, but it'll be a big ask, I'd say, to keep him, because there's no way people haven't noticed how good he is.
Yeah, look, Steph, I think you could probably see it even tonight at the game. There was a few times he was doubled up on with the Bulls defense. When he got into space, they were trying to get numbers around him and get numbers in there quickly. And that's probably a mark of respect to himself as well, that's how clubs are starting to think this is maybe we have to deal with Ryan O'Kane, and how do you do that? Do you overload him with extra players? But that's great to see. For himself, this was only his 14th game when you think about it, involved in. He took an opportunity when it presented to him, and he grasped it with two hands, and it's brilliant to see, because we've been all crying for opportunities for young local talent at the club, and it just seems that Ryan's here and has really grasped his opportunity. Or not.
Steph,
I don't know what you said to him, but he is super pissed at you.
He's done a finger.
No, my Wi-Fi had a Danny moment there, and that
was a great question.
Jumpy. I couldn't hear your question, but look, there was big talk around the ground tonight that it was a drag that even, but there was big talk around the ground tonight that QPR were there looking at him. So I don't know how true that is, but look, I'm sure there is going to be people looking at him. It's good that we have tied him down, because we'll get. I don't know if we'll get. He won't just walk out the door for free, but reward him with a contract. He's obviously going to get more money, which he's going to be happy about. And then look, if there is people looking at him, they're going to have to pay to get him out of there. So and they've doubled up on him. You could see they were backing off whenever he got in the ball. It looked like something was going to happen. He's exciting as always. He cut back in, and like as Grando was saying a couple of months back, the father must have had the stone tied to his foot again, because he was crossing with the left foot, trending in the back garden. So look, he's a super exciting player, and every time he gets the ball, you think something's going to happen. And like even the AstroTurf was trying to take him out tonight.
Can we take a minute before we move on to acknowledge his agent and congratulate Gally on the deal as well? He spent his agency fee to go on a trip to Thailand instead of coming on the podcast tonight. So just congrats to Gally on the deal too.
Best of luck with the massages.
You're just on the deal itself, for the club to start tying down players like Ryan, with hopefully has a massive future ahead of him. It's just great to see, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's brilliant. You'd hope, the likes of Nathan Shepherd and that, would be the next that'll follow suit. But getting Ryan tied down, was it a 2-year deal? Is it a 2-year deal?
2, yeah.
So look, as the two lads have said, we're definitely going to get money out of that, and hopefully Gally will take us on a trip down when he gets that fee. But it's great to see it, and it's great to see, Ryan putting in the performances. I know he said that it wasn't probably his best night in Hurley. If that wasn't his best night in the first half, like especially those first few minutes, I wouldn't, seeing him on a bad night's not all that bad either,
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's great to see him evolve, and he's taken his chance the last maybe 7-8 weeks at the club. So long may that continue. And again, for the likes of him, it could be the tail end of next summer when he makes the move, because I'm sure he's got ambitions to play in Europe next year, and it'll make him an even more attractive acquisition for a club, whether that be in England or further abroad, if he has some European experience under his belt.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was great news from it. Well, it's back to news from ourselves here. We might as well start thinking about our man of the match competition. And Steph, we'll come to yourself first. So if anyone else wants to get their comments in quickly here and see if they agree with us. Steph?
Yeah, it looks like I'm at my own here, but I thought Andy Boyle was man of the match for me. I thought, you already mentioned, he's put in a few good blocks, and he sort of read situations better than he has in the last couple of weeks. He was sort of reading where the ball was going to go instead of trying to follow and chase a man, where he's probably lost that couple of yards of pace. He made some vital blocks. He played the ball well, and it was a bit of a captain's performance by leading by example sort of thing, in my opinion. So look, there was a few that stood out as well. I think McCarry done well. Like you all mentioned, Bone, but
yeah,
I thought Boyle was a few levels above them tonight. So yeah, Boyle for me.
Pingu.
I'm going to give it to Runner just for that first touch. And that's all I'm saying on the matter.
Lost by the first touch.
Yeah.
Donald.
Oh, sorry.
Don't make me go at everybody here.
All I can think about now is that first touch. No, I would have agreed with the man of the match that was given in the ground. I would have said Lewis McCarry would have been man of the match tonight. I mean, Sam Bone was good. Darrell Lee has been performing really well at left back, and it doesn't feel like we've mentioned it at all. I know, again, I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm not 100% of anything that I said. But I think I mentioned that Darrell Lee last week was good. But no, I'm going to put it all on Chris, and I'm going to pick Lewis McCarry for man of the match. So you can either
Boyle
throw in a wild card
or oh, you can be wrong.
Well, because I had already kind of mentioned earlier on that I was impressed with Sam Bone tonight, would mean 4 completely different choices tonight. And there's probably a mix of Sam Bone, Lewis McCarry, Steph McKevitt. Everyone's getting a mention tonight on them all. But I think, lads, just, from putting in the effort all through the season and all the comments throughout the season and everything else, I think it's probably only right that eventually it had to land on Frank Carolan to finally give him back a pizza. I can't remember. I think we might have given one last year. I don't think he's got any this year.
I think we might have given one last week.
You wouldn't need to be on now.
No, but we'll give him one anyway.
You dodged off before I got to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I think we'll give it to Frank tonight. And I don't know if you mentioned it, just that Frank had messaged in there already, just to say that there is a supporters awards night in the Lily-White on Monday, November the 7th at 7:30 p.m. So an email will probably go out to all 1903 members on that, where they'll be voting for the supporters player of the year and supporters young player of the year. Probably have a good idea who that award might just go to, in particular the young player.
Bruno, that first touch.
Yeah.
Yes,
he might get the player
Bruno
after that touch.
For best touch of the season, without a doubt.
He had me at first touch.
As always, you can still join the 1903, and Frank and the team will be there on the night, and you can join on that night. So
he did also offer, Chris, that in one of the comments, that if we want to do a live podcast from that supporters night we can. So it's up to you, Chris, if you want. I'll not be there, but if you want to just live stream it maybe further.
There's no pressure. I've got a week to organise that.
I think you absolutely should.
We'll see, Frank. Give you some. Wait, I'm working on the Sunday before. That's the last game of the season. Am I right?
The night before, yeah.
Oh, great.
So yeah, no problem.
Excellent.
If Gary's back, he can hold the camera.
There we go. I think definitely give the runner for the best. There we go. There should be the runner topping, just maybe for his touch tonight.
Yeah,
we'll have to get on to Vincenzo for that one, Steph.
Yeah, 100%. He's on.
Yeah, anyone for the runner topping. That's the new one. Look, lads, I suppose now that European football is secure, at the start of the season, I think we probably all, in particular Steph, said that we do this, but like there was times on this slide where we didn't maybe think this was going to happen. There was a time where we thought we were going to win the league. We did nearly an unbeaten run at home for a full season. It's we've had an injury list longer than some people's first team. It's gone on and on this season. It's really been a real whirlwind, but compared to last year, it's a whirlwind in the right direction. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, look, we said at the start of the season we were probably going to be a bit inconsistent with the sort of team we'd put together, and brand new team, new manager. Been a bit of a roller coaster. There was the ups and downs, winning games in a row and then going through bad patches. But look, we've done it with a game to spare. I don't think anybody thought that. Even going back to 2-3 weeks ago, people was probably hoping Derry would win a cup for us to finish fourth and qualify for Europe. But I think we all are going to be Shells fans now for the cup final.
Yeah, we can jinx that now.
And Kelleher can shove it up his hole. So hopefully there's a bit of a live stream on him when the cup final's on and Shells win. Luke Byrne lifts the trophy. Me old pal.
Pingu, just on the season as a whole.
Yeah, no, I think I said it a few weeks ago, it's been enjoyable, even when it's been stressful, and it's probably not the ending of the season that we wanted, but we got the result that we all hoped for at the beginning, During that time, I think when it came up to the Rovers game, when we were in contention, we were only 3 or 4 points off top at that stage, or it might even be 2 points. We might have went top if we won that match, and it was the hope that killed you. We were kind of hoping like we were back, and then we fell back to earth with a bang, I think, after that, because I think our run just went very bad, and you had a lot of players injured. And I suppose probably one of the biggest things for me is, and I haven't messaged him to apologise, but I messaged him. He hasn't messaged me back. But Pat Hooban, I hope all is forgiven. I think you've been great. When it comes to next week, we pick our player of the season at you, Pat, because we've fallen apart since you've got injured. So, but I think overall it's been great, and I think the end of the season, I said it a couple of weeks ago, this is exciting. It was exciting the last few weeks because there was something to play for. It's only Europe. We'd rather be playing for trophies. But look at last year, we were playing to stay up. We wanted a bit of just kind of normality in comparison to last year. I don't know how normal this season was, but or the last few weeks were. But it's great to be back. Great to be looking forward to Europe again next season.
Donald.
Yeah, look, it's the end result is that we've got pretty much what we wanted. I think the strange feeling is that it feels like there's been a good few disappointments the last couple of months. Like I think particularly that stretch where losing to UCD and losing to Waterford, I think were the two like that really, really, really hurt. Because I think if you had said to us like we finished third and we'd be in a cup semi-final or a final, I think that would have been probably reaching a little bit too far. Like we couldn't have expected all that, but we were that close to being in those positions. And it almost feels like the season's kind of gone backwards, or like it's flipped the wrong way around. That we thought there would be growing pains and settling in, and it'd be tough in the start of the season, and they might get things together and get rolling, and then figure things out as they went. But it just sort of seemed to go the opposite way, where we were better at the start of the season, and in the middle of the season we were like on a great run of form, and then it just kind of fell away from us. But you can't really tell the story of the season without, as Pinky was saying, the player of the year not playing for half the season. Like the importance of that player not being there, and also who we assumed was going to be the focal point of our midfield has been injured and been on the bench and been a bit part player for half the season. And we lost some other chap from up the road
I think
to another team.
He called him the Clonus Cafu, didn't he?
Yeah. But look, he's good. He'll have himself an FAI Cup losers medal in a couple of weeks, so it's probably all worth it. And also,
never fall in love with a lone player, isn't that what they say?
If they lose it, and now look, I'm just going to speak this into existence. If Rovers win, if our good friends Dan Cleary, Sean Hoare, Sean Gannon, Richard Towell I still can't give them anyway. If they all do us a favour and beat Derry, we're going up to Derry on the last day, and we could finish ahead of them on goal difference, I think, if we beat them. And they're going to rest players for the cup final that they're going to lose. So
I think
this might have a nice ending.
I think there's 4 in the difference at the minute, is there? Or is there a slightly more?
Is it 4?
Or 6 maybe? It might be 6. Yeah, if Rovers beat them 2-0, and then I think if we beat them 2-0, we jump ahead.
Lads, I'm on the dodgy computer now. I probably won't let me even open up another window to bring up the table tonight.
3 points and 4 goals.
4 goals, I was right. Thank you.
Yeah. So 3 points, 4 goals.
You said 4 points a second ago.
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, look, 3 points.
Put that whiskey down. I said if Rovers beat them 2-0 and we beat them 2-0, we finish ahead of them.
That is eventually what you said.
Well, on this joyous note, lads, we're going to be wrapping this up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I'm calling around the old gaff, and they're getting it. Don't you dare insult me like that.
Yeah.
I think I said
step
4 goals or 6 goals.
6-pack, and you're going to sit down and drink them till you sort your problems out, all right?
6-pack of Jameson.
It's the Paul Gascoigne way of sorting stuff.
The KFC. I'll stop off the KFC in the way as well.
Anyway, the point is, we might still
have 2 runners-up medals.
Yeah.
Mal Connolly. Best of luck to you.
Yeah,
$3.5 grand a week, Sterling.
After my joyous announcement for Frank Harlan, that's now been moved from the 7th. So
get that pizza off him as well.
Get yourself some Swedish whiskey. It really does the trick.
Brilliant. Right. Look, well, on a night we secured European football for another season, and we're safely secure in that 3rd place. Lads, who wants to end this tonight?
No passport, no party.